Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we're looking at IonQ. It is time for another update. And for a while now, I have been tracking this setup where I am looking for this stock to continue to significantly higher prices. It has generated, from a larger time frame perspective, enough evidence of a potential bottom, and we are able to even count from a smaller time frame perspective an initial 5-week move to the upside, which is an overwhelmingly bullish structure as it provides very clearly the levels of support that this stock needs to hold to still allow this continuation to even higher prices within a wave 3. As long as we do not get a sustained break below $32.40, I find it to have high probabilities of continuation to higher prices within at least another 5-week move to the upside, if not even more than that. From a larger time frame perspective, this stock actually has a couple of options of how we could be considering its structure, so I would actually not go ahead and limit the possibilities of this stock to only having a wave C build in this structure. Don't get me wrong, even the wave C, in the case of the white structure that I'm tracking here, in a leading diagonal, would actually have pretty bullish implications. We would be watching the 100% extension of the wave A around $350, so we're talking about a 7x from the current levels. But I actually believe this stock capable to prove us wrong and generate significantly more upside than we could see even within this expectation, as this is not the only possible count. There are interpretations for this stock that could allow much higher prices. I don't necessarily believe it too lucrative to focus on these interpretations, as we can get all the data that we actually need from a smaller time frame perspective, and as long as the trend is up, we can actually continue to stay in the primary trade, stay within our core position where we expect it to still continue to even higher prices. The yellow interpretation is actually still very much a possibility, but in that scenario I would strongly expect for this correction to not be done, so I would expect for the white area of support to actually see a failure. Now, with all of that said, let's actually move into the smaller time frame where we see the more relevant data, in my opinion. And within this structure, I am watching a wave 2 correction, which is expected to see a 3-wave pattern form. In this structure, I actually have to consider it possible, especially from a larger time frame perspective, I have to consider it possible for a bottom to be in. I see this as a potential wave A, I have here a wave B up, and the wave C could very well be nearing its end. We actually see in this internal structure the possibility to count 5 waves down, as we would currently have this wave 1, wave 2 up, wave 3 down, wave 4 up into the last level of resistance very nicely, and then another low has already been generated. This structure is actually not perfect. Within the wave C, the ideal target is the 100% extension of the wave A. So I would actually be watching for around $46 to still be achieved. This has not yet been the case, but I do find that region to carry a high possibility of a bottom to form, as it sits strictly in line with structural support we've formed at these previous lows. So within this wave 1, I am considering this to have been a wave 4 correction. We have formed a bottom within this wave 4, levels from which we have managed to extend another, what is this, like more than 50%, we are talking about 60% plus extension within a wave 5, exactly from these levels, the 100% extension of the wave A. So this certainly is a high interest region for me to watch for a potential bottom, and that is actually not the only structural support we find at that level. We actually see that buyers have previously stepped in and attempted to actually generate higher prices within this region. Does this mean that we actually need to get to those levels or even stop there? Not at all, by any means. We can in fact see that the minimum expectations for this as a wave C have been fulfilled. We have reached the area of support for the white wave 2. We can actually count 5 waves down. So technically there is no obligation to see continuation to even lower prices, even within the initial structure that I'm already tracking within this path, within this white wave 2. Then some other issues that should be considered is that in this interpretation, in this count, the orange wave tree has actually not managed to reach its ideal target, the 138.2% extension of the wave 1. It has actually gotten quite close, so I wouldn't necessarily discard this possibility based on that alone, but I will caution you to watch out for the possibility of this orange wave tree to have seen an extension instead, as within the latest lows we have seen on Thursday, it has reached those levels. So the expectations have been fulfilled with this last additional low, meaning that I would still need to watch out for a potential extension of this white wave C, a potential additional wave 4 correction into the region up to $54.70, where we also carry some structural resistance. Doesn't need to get there though. And from the top of this wave 4, I believe it is still actually quite possible to see another extension. Definitely, if we manage to see a sustained break above the 50% retracement here, it would be an early signal that a bottom could be in, but that alone cannot be considered a confirmation by itself. What I do want to warn you is that there is no guarantee that we will see these levels of support eventually hold, that we cannot see an extension of even this wave 2 correction in white. We could certainly see something like this only being a wave A down. See then a wave B correction that would take us potentially to quite high levels, and then a wave C to eventually complete the structure. Then I do see the possibility for this orange wave tree to actually extend even more directly, especially as the internal structure I see within this movement down does seem a bit incomplete. So even before we can actually look for the reversal in this wave 4, I actually find there to be a quite good chance of this wave tree seeing even more direct extensions, meaning that I could track something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, in which case I could have internal levels of resistance to watch out for, where they would range from about $52.20 down to the area around $49.70. And actually, let's track this in yellow. So this would be an extension of the structure that I am tracking in orange. I would be looking for one additional low before having a more clearly complete structure within the orange wave tree. And if this is to materialize, it doesn't necessarily mean that the entire correction would be complete within the white wave 2, but we would actually still need to look out for a potential additional wave 4 correction in orange and the wave 5 to take it to even lower prices. And as a small recap, I will repeat some of the core expectations. The minimum I would like to see within this structure is actually, at the very least, another tiny low. Yes, within this yellow structure, we could see the bottom. And ideally, we would see the levels around $46 to actually be achieved, but that is not necessary. However, by only reaching those levels, it does not automatically indicate a bottom to be in. We could see potentially quite aggressive extensions to lower prices. There is never a guarantee that the markets will behave in a certain way, and these are just the more preferable, the more likely outcomes in my opinion. Then even if I would have a complete structure within this move down, even if it reaches $46, it does not mean that I would not still be watching out for the orange wave 4 to potentially extend and generate one additional low within the wave 5. I would only be dragging down the area of resistance I am tracking for the orange wave 4 instead. Then in terms of timeline, within the yellow structure, if it is to form an additional low, it will most likely have to happen this week. When it comes to the orange structure, especially if we see this extension in yellow, I could see it extend in 1 or 2 additional weeks. And then as a wrap up, unless we see the sustained break below the 78.6% retracement in the white structure, right? $32.40, we can actually remain bullish on this stock, and the core position would not actually have to be affected by any changes within the smaller time frame. In fact, I am quite happy with how this corrective pattern has so far turned out, and I find it favorable for it to actually be part of a corrective wave, such as the white wave 2. So for now, we will actually stop here, but if you want even more from me, even more updates on IonQ, on the other quantum stocks, and really many other opportunities that I'm tracking, you can check out the Patreon. But other than that, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content and want to support it directly, check out the channel membership, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.